Diogo. Where are you from, Manuel?
I'm from Portugal.
Yes, I can imagine.
I work at the CCB, it's the cultural center in Lisbon.
Ah, super, very good.
Yeah, and I work for the educational project. We do shows and conferences and exhibitions mostly for kids, but also for teachers and other artists.
Very good.
Yeah.
Hello, Diogo.
Hello, Natalie.
Where are you from? Portugal as well?
I'm from Portugal.
I can see with all the sea and the stranger.
Costilla.
What are you doing?
I'm from Madeira Island. I work for an inclusive dance company called Dançando com Diferença.
Okay.
And I'm the executive producer and the director assistant.
Very good. Hello, Nicole. Hello, Susanne.
Hello.
Germany, Susanne?
Yes.
Yes. What are you doing, Susanne? I see a piano. I can see a piano on the right, on your left.
There's another piano behind me.
Ah, voilà. So you're into music, I guess?
I'm a dancer and a singer and a pianist.
You know that Wim is an artist. You know, when Wim is just only, he says he's a technology guy, but he's a true artist.
Ah, what is he doing?
Well, you will see. Wim?
I sing in a choir as well, but that's not a discussion today.
But it gives you have a very well-balanced brain, Wim. Hmm?
Well, let's see. Shall we?
No, I know. So we wait a bit, and then I give you the kickoff. So, hello, Maria, Claudia, sending is Portugal, Ines, Oliveira, and Nicole. Where are you from, Nicole?
I'm sneaking in from the UK.
Ah, the UK. Oh, that's okay. We can accept you. And what are you doing, Nicole?
I work with Screen Skills, which is a skill.
I know Screen Skills very well.
Yeah.
They are super good institutions. Because I work with BBC Academy, and of course, Screen Skills is BBC Academy is a partner of Screen Skills.
Yeah, and I develop the apprenticeships that people like the BBC students take. So,
Voilà, super.
Yeah,
excellent. So when I spoke about the School of Talents, you know exactly what I mean.
I know the people. Yes.
Hello, Maria, Claudia. So I suggest we kick off, dear colleagues. So the idea is that, hello, Claudia, Portugal, la danse, dançado also, it's like Diogo, I guess. Maria, Cecilia, Europa. Ah, Celia from Opera Europa. Hello, Celia. Salut, Celia. Maria. Alors, let's kick off, dear friends. So I suggest we do the following because we are talking a lot, so it can be very heavy. So Wim is going to make a short presentation, and then you will have we will open the floor and we'll have direct discussions. Wim, over to you.
Okay, I'll make it short and brief. So my name, as mentioned before, I'm Wim Vermost, and I work at the Belgian public broadcaster VRT. And I have the honor to talk to you about the virtual tour of Flanders. Now, you probably think the virtual tour of what? So I'll explain a little bit. And I saw people from even the United States were there, so I needed to give you the map of Europe and show you Belgium. And that's a very small country there in the middle. And if we zoom into Belgium, Belgium is actually a difficult country. Maybe many of you know there is a German-speaking part, a French-speaking part, and a Dutch-speaking part, or Flemish-speaking part. And Flemish, well, that's interesting because Flanders is the northern region of Belgium. So this is half of the thing. So the virtual tour of Flanders, it's about a tour somewhere in Flanders. And probably you know Brussels, it's the capital, of course. But to be honest, Belgium is well known for waffles, mussels and fries, beer, but above all, it's well known for cyclist madness. And well, of course, we had a problem, not Houston, but Belgium or Flanders had a big problem because of the COVID pandemic. You know it as good as anyone. We were in a lockdown. Nothing was possible, even no cyclist race. And I can guarantee you, wars have started for less. So it's even worse than having no mussels and fries or a Belgian without any cervezas or beer. It's not going to work. So what did we do? Well, together with the people that organize the cyclist race, Flanders Classics, and together with the company called Be Cool, which is a simulator company. I'll tell you more what it is. And together with Kiswi, that's the cloud platform we used. And of course, VRT's sport channel, Sporza, we produced a virtual tour. So what did we do? What's the concept here? Of course, we could not have a race with 500 people on the road with their cycles. It's just not possible. So we thought to have 13 professional riders racing at home on their rollers. And we thought, well, it's not going to work if we don't see them. So we did set up a video call from the home of the professional rider to the Kiswi platform. We have our two usual commentators. Actually, they're world famous in Flanders, that is. So we needed to drag them in to make the story work. Of course, there are no real cameras on the road. So we needed to go into the virtual environment and set up 3 virtual cameras to cover the race on the road. Okay, we bring in graphics and real life footage as well. And it must be said, there's no broadcast gear involved, none at all. It's all just using software, off-the-shelf PCs and hardware, and it's all done in the cloud. So maybe I want to show you a little bit how it did look on the screen, because of course it needed to be interesting, an interesting episode, and it's not nice just to look at a simulation or a game, so to speak. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see that we brought in the real cyclists at home. So you could see them really sweating in the heat on their cycle, on their machine. Of course, on the bottom, you see something else we were able to put into the transmission here. Where are they exactly on the track? How fast are they driving? What's the amount of wattage they're producing on their cycle thing? And what's the inclination that they need to go on here? So you could bring in some data. The data was also used by our commentators to put some extra flavor and pinch of salt to the broadcast session here. So how did we achieve to do this? On top, sorry, it's a technical diagram. My apologies, but I'll try to make it very simple here. On top, you see the riders at home. There are represented the 13 professional riders at home. Each of them do have their cycle put on rollers. The rollers are connected to a PC that drives the simulation. The simulation is somewhere in the cloud, and it's called the Be Cool platform. We also had to put up a camera at home to see how the racers were actually going on their machine. And that was done by just a smartphone, just a simple phone like this one. And there's a free application you could set up on your phone. It's called Larix Broadcaster. And you could use these type of application to forward the live video through the internet to our production platform that we used, and you see it here on the right-hand side. So I'll show it. The top-hand side, this is the riders at home with their Be Cool platform and the Larix Broadcaster application. They were connected on the one hand to the Be Cool platform. By the way, in the Be Cool platform, you see the 3 small icons, the cameras. Those represent the virtual cameras that were driving as well with the cyclist through the race. Of course, somebody needed to steer those virtual cameras, and we did set up the virtual cameraman at our offices in the VRT facility in Brussels. So they were just using an ordinary laptop and just steering the simulation or the simulated cameras in the Be Cool platform. The comms you see on the right-hand side, those were the 2 commentators. They were connecting to the cloud platform to get the real visual. Just as in normal life, they would get a real visual from the application in the studio. So now it just came from the cloud. So the Kiswi platform, this is the platform where all the video sources are coming together. The sources from the Larix broadcast application or the sources from the Be Cool application. And they could be switched from the one to the other source also by the vision mixer or the virtual vision mixer that uses a simple application, and he could steer this from home or from the VRT offices. On the right-hand side, you see that we have a linear international feed and a national feed that we produced out of the platform. So what did we do from an operational point of view? You have to know that in real life, when we do a race like this, we have about 150 people up on the road to bring the entire race to the home. Now with the virtual tour, we could just do this with 12 people. That's all the crew we needed. One director, a vision mixer, 3 cameramen, 2 commentators, a chief engineer, 2 support engineers, and 2 liaison officers. And these guys were important because of course we could not get to the cyclists at home. So they were more or less like the call center for them.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to know how to set up the PC and that sort of things.
Willem, compare from the 100 to the 12, there are the same skills? In some, you need less people, the same skills, or you have different set of skills compared to the real one?
I'll quickly get there, Natalie.
Okay.
So I'll just show you a screenshot of the vision mixer. This does not look anything like a real vision mixer, right? It's an application on a normal PC, nothing out of the ordinary. And of course, we were at the start of the lockdown. But you see the plastic screens in between, just to be sure that there's some barrier. We were not aware at that moment in time about the face masks and that sort of stuff. So this is the thing we did in the early start. Now, of course, we do know better. Maybe I'll show you briefly a small video snippet, and then we'll get back to the conclusions of the thing. I hope it works, and you'll get a piece of audio. You hear the audio?
And here we go. It should be fun. Make no mistake, they are in it to win it. And here we can see what we're actually looking at here. This is where we hope. And here we go. It should be fun. Make no mistake, they are in it to win it. And here we can see what we're actually looking at here. This is where we hope the riders, of course, will be this time next year. Remco Evenepoel comfortably seated and blasting away from the field at the moment. The next one will be the Oude Quaremont, and then very quickly after that will be the Panterberg. So the key part of the race still to come.
So before you get into the race, I'll drag you out again, sorry for that. But now you get more or less a feeling what we did. And we even synchronized the real life route with the simulation. So in the simulated part, we actually laid out the track that we were going to drive throughout Flanders normally. And we made a video of the real track, and we synchronized those as well. For the viewers at home, we thought this might be interesting, right? So what did we learn? Actually, we did learn a lot. First of all, everyone on the team must know the ropes. Being eager to learn and self-learning seems to be the new goals. Because it's a small team. Everybody needed not to just ask questions to somebody, how can I do this? No, everyone should have a broad skill set and maybe specialized in a small thing, but have a broad skill set and eager to learn. The ease and speed of instant communication, well, being able to see each other. This is why we thought, put the people in the office, because at that time, communications via the internet, we didn't trust it. And the people we used to do this transmission, they do this for a day job, and they do the cyclist races at the Olympics as well. So they know each other by heart, and just with a blink of an eye, they know how to switch to a camera or what to do, when to do it in the race. So this is why we choose to put people together. But actually with this setup, you could do it each person at home and communicate over the internet. There is, of course, delay, right? Because you're using the internet protocols, there is delay involved, no questions about it. But if you do something like this, be sure to use a very powerful gaming laptop, because you need to create the environment. So you need to have a powerful graphics card and that sort of things. When you do this at home, it will probably work. When you do this in a corporate environment, you need to be best friends with your IT guy to open up firewalls. Otherwise, they will obstruct you to do things like set up the Larix broadcaster thing or that sort of things. Another, it sounds very simple, I know, but it's a lesson learned. Whenever you have the chance to use a fixed connection instead of wireless, please do so. Otherwise, you'll get into trouble, right? And within the boundaries of the available connectivity, the video stability and the quality was already very good. And even we didn't use things like, sorry for the technicality here, secure reliable transport, that's SRT, or RIST, reliable internet streaming transport. We did do this with the old, very well-known protocols that are out there. So no stress at all. And there are free applications like Lyrics Broadcast on your smartphone, OBS as a free application to do video mixing and producing a video stream. It's out there. Last but not least, the delay, it's very hard to get used to, especially for sports directors and cameramen who do this with many, many years of experience in the field, using top-notch gear and not being able to act immediately. That's a huge change for them. Now, it did change the role as well, because the director, who usually says, switch now, he was not in that role anymore, because the vision mixer was more close to saying, it's this camera now. Luckily, they know how, and they trust each other. Otherwise, it would have been a bit of a fight, I imagine. So, conclusion, I would say, this would never have been done, and apologies for saying something really strange now. Bless the pandemic. That's the last time I say this. Otherwise, we would never have tried this. A real cycling race like this, it would never have gone in a virtual tour. We've done this, we've tried this, and actually we would never have done this otherwise. And a lot was achieved, so people trust now more the ways that are possible via the open internet. So actually the pandemic, I think it shifted a lot of people in the mindset, like it's never capable of doing this stuff via the internet. And now they think, please, let's use the internet, because it opens a way to more possibilities. Another very interesting bit, younger viewers in particular were attracted to the race on rollers. I don't know why, but maybe it's because this is a new format and it's a combination of real esports and the real game or the cyclist race that they know. And it's probably the blend or the mix and match between the two worlds that really got young viewers attracted to the race. And now I think we need to ask ourselves as a broadcaster, what would be our future? Is it real big boxes and do all these things with the big boxes and being not as flexible? Or move more to a software-based broadcaster where you could actually on the fly produce workflows like this? It's a small thing I didn't tell you yet, but the ID, from the ID till the execution, the real life and the broadcast, we only had 10 days to pull this off. So I think this was really amazing. And actually, each time I give the presentation, I need to thank people. I need to thank Flanders Classic, of course, to take the gamble to do this in an esports way. Of course, Be Cool and Kiswi for the platform and the virtual track. And of course, the Sporza VRT Sports channel. And of course, my department, the operational guys who made it happen. So the 12 colleagues really taking my hat off. Thank you for them. And a special thanks to my colleague, the chief engineer, Wouter, who managed to pull those 12 people together. So this was the presentation in a nutshell. I hope there's some breathing room for questions.
Thanks a lot, Wim. Any questions from you guys?
Actually, I would have a lot of questions, but I think it will take probably a long time to talk about this. I think we should focus on the things that we're all here for, I think. In my case, and I think probably my Portuguese colleagues are here as well, for the ability to use these kind of tools to do shows, to do live shows on the internet. And but this is sometimes when we trying to do this these kind of things, and when we had to adapt to the pandemic situation, in my case we didn't have that many resources to work, and so we had to do most of the stuff on Zoom, and there was a steep learning curve with Zoom and OBS Studio that you've talked about as well. and try to fix all these little bugs of sound delays and stuff like that. Yeah. How did you come about to, how did you gather all this information to do this? Were you preparing before? Was it something that you were working on, or was it something that you went looking for when the pandemic started?
No, we do have at VRT, we do have an acceleration program, or a sandbox it's called. And actually Trace is part of that, that sandbox. And they are scouting for those new applications and those new companies that come onto the market. And there are a lot more of them. So we already knew Kiswi. And one of the founders, and that's where the story gets really juicy. One of the founders, he lives in California, but he has a Belgian background. He went to the university in Leuven, and he is actually a cyclist mad as well. So this is where the worlds start to collide, right? It's, you need to be a fan of the thing, and you need to be sure this needs to go on air. And if you have the right mix and match of people at the right time, at the right place, you come up with solutions like this. So we were lucky to have such an acceleration program, to have scouted for applications. So actually we had them somewhere on a portfolio lying around. And this was the best way to convince people to use it. Because the guys from the sports department never ever would have done something like this. But there's all the let's say, the financials surrounding a big race like this, because people wanted, the sponsors of such races wanted to have the race.
Right.
They invested a lot of money, they want to see the race.
Sure.
And of course, at some point you find the balance, like, okay, it needs to be done, and there is the possibility, and it comes together. I think this was the forces that happened.
Thank you, Wim.
I'm sorry, I had to put the mask because I have other people in the office.
It's okay,
coming in and
Manuel.
out, so, yeah.
Any question from somebody else? Susanne, Claudia, Ines, Nicole?
I will. I was interested in the virtual production side. We've been asked to develop some national occupational standards, so some statements of skills and knowledge for virtual production. We've got our standards already for production and for digital production workflows, but it's quite interesting, your actual process map to show the different roles and the interactions. And it was interesting to hear you say as well about the fact that it was the director and the vision mixer that were interacting more. Because obviously we've been asked to look at where we can create training programs and where we can cover the gap, but it's actually finding what the gap is. So I thought that was useful to hear from you, that you thought that was quite an interesting interface on that.
Well, it even sounds probably more like combining roles. And then you could bring down the amount of people on the production as well. And I hope there's no sports director here on the call. But I would think that it's probably a small gap from being a sports director, just a sports director, to being the director and the one who cuts on the video engine as well.
Right.
And then you cut out or a little bit of delay or that sort of things. And the fact that we're using software and user interfaces that allow us to combine things would help us to combine the roles in a gallery as well. And we were never able to do this before because it was a physical box, the mixing engine. It was a physical desk to do the light. It was a physical desk to do the cameras and that sort of things. But now it becomes just a piece of software on a GUI. You can combine those things and combine roles. And I think this is where the magic really will happen.
But did you have any fight regarding the roles, Willem?
No, the reason we did not, it's because everybody wanted to make this happen. It was just 12 people and the amount of time was just too short. It needed to happen anyway. And everybody was going with the mindset, let's make this work. If you would do this on the long run, I can imagine there would be more discussion. Like now you have this burning platform of the pandemic. If there was no pandemic at all, and you would start to combine roles, and then people would see it like, oh, no, it's probably a reduction in the amount of people, or it's a reduction in this or that. I would take a different approach. With less people, you can produce this, meaning you still have this amount of people, so you can produce more. And probably this is what we need to do. Being a public broadcaster in the more and more international domain with Netflixes and who else is out there, we need to produce more. And this is really the chances we get now by using this type of technology.
Thank you, Wim. Any questions? Celia? No? Susanne? No? Manuel, vas-y.
Yes,
Go.
I have more questions. I always have a lot of questions. I'm sorry. One is a little technical thing. How big was the delay that you were talking about?
I don't have any figures.
Yeah.
I don't remember them, to be honest, but we used RTMP. So that's a real old protocol. And I think we can reduce the delay by quite an amount of time if we use SRT or RIST.
But are we talking about a few seconds or more than that?
No, it's just a few seconds.
Okay,
No,
so it's not that bad.
No, it's about 2, but I don't know by heart all the dots behind or the numbers behind the dot. Sorry.
Yeah. The other question I had was, do you feel that when this is over, that there will be a space to make this work in other areas? Because I feel that there's an instinct, at least here, to make things back to what they were before, and not take some lessons from what we've learned, and not to take advantage of the lessons we've learned here.
So this is one example, and it's a big example because it's a well-known thing, the Tour of Flanders. But we did have 3 or 4 other programs and we took a different approach to it. It's like we used vMix, that's also a piece of software, and the guy who did the vision mixing was actually the presenter, and we provided him with a vision mixer a panel with knobs with a VPN tunnel towards the vision mixer that we put somewhere in the cloud as well. And I think maybe this type we will not reproduce, but there are so many other applications and people start to acknowledge that we need to do something like this. Because of the need of more production. And as we speak, we are experimenting with something we called a software-based studio.
Oui.
And under the hood, you'll find the vision mixer like you used to know. And actually for this example, we're using a Blackmagic Atem. But on top, we make a UI ourselves with a bus in between. So all the comments we can do on the tapping on the screen will be translated to the normal vision mixer. And with this, we can combine roles. And this is something we could never do before in our broadcast history. And this is actually where a lot of change will happen and where we need to know from our sports channels and producers actually what they want. And they need to tell what they want. And this will be very new. So
we still have 2 minutes to go. Very interesting, Manuel, your questions. And for the audience, Willem, did you see a renewal of the audience? Do you have younger people and the old? They were happy to have this strange race, because as an old Belgium guy, nobody, but only on the screen. So in short, what the reaction of the people?
So now I can come back to the beginning because I sing in a choir, and we have people from the age from 7 till 80. I was able to do some sort of a survey, and I asked to the people, how did they look at it? And of course, the guys who were, let's say, about 80, who are used to see the real thing, they're just not there. The pandemic, it's too much, and they wanted to have the old thing. But there are a lot of people, the youngsters between, let's say, 15 and 50 that says, this was just marvelous. Because they look at the glass, which is half full.
Right.
And otherwise we wouldn't have nothing.
Yes.
And the other reaction was more like, I would have loved to see the real race.
Right. Okay, and I was joking on the chat, but it's green energy. Huh? If you take all the cyclists of Belgium, you have no need to have, solar cell. You can really solve the planet.
but actually, sorry, Natalie, to interrupt, but this is something I had from a discussion at the DPP, maybe last week. And there was a discussion about remote production and that sort of things. And I think it was somebody from the BBC who mentioned there still will be remote production after COVID, because there will be more and more focus on green energy and green production.
You see? So all the cyclists in the workshop. It was a pleasure, dear colleagues. Let me join me to thank very much Wim. Thank you very much, Wim, for a very interesting discussion and the openness. And thank you guys for your questions. It was a pleasure. And yes, we have 35 seconds, so we are on time. And we even have time to discuss, which is brilliant. So thanks a lot and see you in the main room. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Ciao.